What's up, guys? I thought I'd get a little freaky with y'all. Put some of these crazy lights on, get some of your attention. Let's go. It's time. It's time. Let's get on the show. Sorry, it's been a minute. It's my bad. What's up, Morgan? It has been too long, like literally like almost like more than a week since I've even been able to do a broadcast. That's why the lights are flashing. The lights are flashing to get you in here. Come on, man. Give me a number one. Let's go. Let's go. I got to shake it up. Sorry I've been gone, guys. I have been so slammed. I know that I've made a commitment to you guys to show up. So here I am. All right, I'm going to stop that. See if I can turn this shit off. How do I turn it off now? I think I'm stuck. I might be stuck now. I might be stuck. There we go. Slow it down. Turn this mode off. Turn it off. Oh shit. What do we do? I'm going to turn that. I got this thing going crazy now. Did I turn it off? Turn it back on? I don't know what I'm doing here, man. What's up, people? Happy to see all you guys. It's been a minute. I'm going to talk about something super important today, actually. I try to keep it light. I try to keep it cool. Man, it is so dark in here. What is up with all the lack of lighting? I got to get some better lighting in here for you guys. There we go. Let's go 10%. Okay. Anyway, enough fooling around. So today I want to talk about, I love small business. I want to talk about big business. What's the difference between small business and big business? You tell me. You tell me in the chat. By the way, I just released my new book today, Sportify. You can get it on Amazon. You can get a hard copy. You can get it on Kindle. Sportify, officially available. Beyond business gamification. That is what sportification is. Sportify your business. Check it out. You can get it. It's cheap. It's like $5 on Kindle. But I want to talk today about the difference between big business and small business first, because I want to talk about corporatism and why that shit is awful. Okay. Tie strength, overhead, critical mass. Okay. I appreciate the comment. I'm not sure what that means. But anyway, what's up, Ty Strang? Happy to see you. Living Dead You Fear. What's up, dude? Tommy Meyer, Ronady, Rone Dykstra, Wash Your Hands, Child, Fletchma, 2026, Lopez, all you people up there, give me a shout out in the chat. Give me a number one. Give me a roll call. Where you at? I'm in Denver. Just got back. Did Mojave Desert a little while ago, and had Wade Chalice and Josh Barnett put everybody through the grinder. It was super awesome. Loved it. Man, you should have been there if you weren't there. I mean, it was totally killer. Let's see. We got some people out on YouTube asking questions. Just saying, Puerto Rican rum. What's up, dude? Haven't seen you in a minute. What was Billy Robinson's opinion on Lou Thez? I know Carl didn't always speak highly of him. Yeah. So, okay. Billy, liked Lou. Thought Lou was fantastic. Lou put Billy over as the greatest scientific wrestler ever. There's a quote somewhere. You can find it online. Lou put over Billy huge. And as such, they didn't have any problem with each other. They made some money. I think Billy had the same opinion as Carl, though he was not vocal and not rude about it. Carl was always not really concerned about how people felt. And that was that Lou was protected from the time he was 20 years old and he won the world championship in a worked business. So I don't think that says anything about his skill. You could clearly see he knows the moves. He knows how to pull them off when you watch him in matches. But he just wasn't facing top tier competition. Carl was in the Olympics. You know what I mean? A Belgian national champion in freestyle and Greco-Roman. So I hope that helps you. We got Jake Assay on Facebook says, Hail Eris. Hail Eris, my friend. Hail Eris. For those of you those Discordians of you among us, love Discordianism. Christopher Cruz, what's up, Jake? What's up, Christopher? Good to see you, bro. All you guys on Instagram, are you awake? Oh, Living Dead You Fear said, sup. Ty Strike said, getting started and reach critical mass for small business to become a big business. I see. Okay, so here's the deal, man. I'm gonna go into this. Corporatism. What do I mean by that? Okay, the real talk here is based off of an article I wrote, a blog. Okay, Blee Droner. I hope I'm not messing up your name. Does Joe Rogan have a small business that deals with big business Spotify? Yeah, he has. Yeah, he made a deal that's gotten a massive distribution, made a great deal, and so he is working with a big business. And I'm not against big business per se. Okay, big business is important. Hey, what's up? Garcia Sports 89 says, hey, coach, what is up, Paul? Excited to see you soon, my friend. So, when I'm talking small business, I think maybe it's important for us to define our terms. Okay. So I'm going to go to, I'm way deep on AI right now. I'm going to go to Bard, which I like for research. I don't like it. ChatGPT is much better for writing, but I do like it for research. So I'm going to go to Bard and I'm going to say, define small business versus big business. Let's see what Bard says and see if we can agree with this. You guys know how to get there, bard.google.com. So it's still thinking. There's no single definition of small business, as the definition can depend on the country or industry. However, in the United States, the SBA, the Small Business Administration, defines a small business as one that has fewer than 500 employees and less than $7 million in annual revenue. Okay? That is the vast majority of businesses in the United States. So let me find what percent of all business is small business in the United States. I mean, dude, this AI stuff so cool. So anyway, companies with less than 500 employees. Okay. Now, typically I work with much smaller. I work with people that are 10 to 50 employees. That's my bread and butter as a business coach, as a consultant, as a sales trainer. Now starting my own AI digital agency. By the way, no better time. The time to enter. I've always been a marketer. I've been marketing for 30 years as an entrepreneur, and I've been hired as an expert in marketing for a number of people. The best time to start a business is when there's a massive disruption. So if you wanted to get into sales, if you wanted to get into real estate, you want to go when there's a big disruption. Right now is the time. I've gone deep into AI. If you want to start learning how to do AI marketing, let me know. I'll hook you up. Marketing is the lifeblood of small business. Okay. So here's what we got. Okay. From Bard. What percentage of all business is small business in the US? According to the SBA, there's 33 million small businesses in the United States, which accounts for 99% of all businesses. That means 99.9. That means only one basis point, 1% of 1% of businesses in the U.S. are considered large businesses. Small business is 99.9%, according to the SBA in their definition of under 7 million, under 500 employees. Small business is the backbone. I love small business. Small business is the American economy. When the American economy is suffering, it is the small businesses that are suffering. Okay? 63% of new jobs come from small businesses. 46% of private sector employment and 42% of private sector payroll come from small business. Okay? So small business is crucial. And they were the ones told they weren't essential. Right? So why? What happened? What is going on? Go Cry Me a River said, nice. I'm not sure about what. I caught it later. Ty Strang, link to your article, Jake, so I'll read it later. Yeah, I'll try to. I'm running this show by myself right now, so I don't have a producer. I will send it, or you guys could just go to medium.com Jake.Shannon. Medium.com @Jake.Shannon. That is all my blogs. This one is called Corporatism and the Threat of the Great Reset. Corporatism and the Threat of the Great Reset. What's up, Marco? Throwing up a number one. What's up? I love it, dude. Happy to see you, sir. Yeah, I was just telling everybody about Pinion Hills. Man, that was a sick camp. Okay. Why is corporatism a threat? When I'm talking about corporatism, again, I want to define this, okay? And I want to talk about this group, the World Economic Forum. You guys all heard of this, guys? The WEF, y'all heard of it yet? The World Economic Forum? You guys know what I'm talking about? You should, okay? Not that long ago, there was a nice, tidy little word that would always stir up debate. It's been debased, abused, ill-defined, but I love this word in its original meaning by the guy who's the founder. That word is fascism. Fascism. What is fascism? Right? It means joining together, bundling, like a bundle. Okay? Fascism. Let me say it again. Fascism. It has been replaced in our Orwellian newspeak public relations bullshit with euphemisms like, how about this for a nice, this is where I love George Carlin. George Carlin is one of my biggest influences. So for those of you Discordians out there, might get a little bit of a George Carlin vibe off what I'm riffing on here. How about this bullshit euphemism for fascism that goes around now? And you guys have probably all heard it. Public-private cooperation. Public-private cooperation. It sounds so nice. It sounds lovely. Versus fascism, which is awful. Whether you call a turd a rose or you call a turd, it's still a freaking turd. You understand me? Fascism. Okay. So again, I want to define terms. This is what you do when you discuss things. So there's no wiggle room. I'm going back to the source. Because this World Economic Forum bullshit is not new. It's just a rebrand. It's a gentler, kinder rebrand of awful shit. So the founder of fascism, properly defined in the modern age in the 20th century, I'm going to make a case that it predates him. Okay. There's some commonalities here that I want to get into. Fascist. This is the definition by Benito Mussolini. You guys know who this is? The fascist dictator in Italy that got dethroned was buddy with fucking Hitler, right? Like the bad guy. The bad guy every other bad guy is compared to, even though Stalin was worse and our ally in terms of innocent lives killed, but bad guy nonetheless. Benito Mussolini's definition of fascism, which is the same as public-private cooperation, all this bullshit today that Biden and Trump and everybody else pushes on you. Here's Benito Mussolini's definition of fascism. Fascism, this is in quotes, fascism should be more appropriately called corporatism. Get the name that where I'm talking about here. Fascism should be more appropriately called corporatism because it's a merger of state and corporate power. Now that's something to consider, isn't it? Fascism is corporatism, and corporatism is the merger of state and business, state and economic power. Does that make sense now? State and businesses. There's a problem. You may not have realized this, but there was a time when there was a separation of state, not church and state. That's a great thing. That's a wonderful thing. So you don't end up with things like the Spanish Inquisition where you're putting innocent people on pikes and torturing them separation of not church and state, but of corporations and state. That is called laissez-faire capitalism, separated, no collusion, no bribery, no corruption. Fascism, public-private cooperation, in other words, fascism is, in the words of Benito Mussolini, the guy, you can't get a better guy to define it than the guy who started it, is the merger of state and corporate power, okay? So this isn't some crazy conspiracy theory. What's up, Ryu Ken? Giving me a what's up. Good afternoon, dude. Happy to see you. Okay? It's important to grasp what's going on. Fascist ideology, okay, in its essence, it seeks to establish this corporatist system, this merger of the state and business, where states and corporations are in cahoots. Okay? Another term for this is state capitalism, to separate it. Everybody's like, oh, capitalism sucks. It's ill-defined. What the fuck do you mean? Do you mean state corporatism or state capitalism? Yeah, that sucks. Laissez-faire? No, that's the small business. That's based on consent only. There's no bribery of government officials, of special tax breaks, all this, of being dictated that you're essential, of told that you'll lose your license if you close your business during this fake pandemic bullshit. Now, this is the sad thing, dude. Today, America and China, like the two most powerful nations on earth, are examples of this new age fascism, this corporatism, this state capitalism. In the land of the free, we have all too many times seen how free speech and free markets aren't. In fact, they're manipulated. And fascism instead has really taken root here. I got a problem with fascism. I got a problem with corporatism. And you guys should too. China has taken a slightly different approach. Now, we've done it through licensure. How did they fuck with all the small businesses during this lockdown bullshit? Which was wrong. It was totally wrong. I don't want to hear it. If you're one of these wackos that still believes in all that stuff, man, you got to get your head out of your rear end. Okay, lockdowns were a nuke to small business. 99% of the economy. Okay, bleed drone or laissez-faire equals letting do. Yeah, that's the original meaning. Was it? They were pleading, the merchants were pleading to these sycophants, these parasites that were pushing all this bullshit back in the day. And this is what I'm going to get to. And they said, let us just fucking do business. Stop getting in our business. Mind your business. We'll mind our own. And we're good people. We're not going to do anything unethical. Like, what the thing that's so ironic is all the corruption happens because of this corporatism and this collusion and this corruption that happens between when government gets involved with it, whether it's church and state, business and state. This merger, this fascism is not good, but they sell it like, oh, you need this to protect you. No, we don't. Clearly, BIJ Lanny, I can't say your name. I'm so sorry. Said scamdemic. Ooh, I like that one. Yeah. Stujitsu, LOL. Haha. COVID consolidated power. 100%. You put all the small businesses out, which were 99% of the economy, and then you only make like the Walmarts, the China's, the Targets. I mean, the Walmarts and the Targets essential. Okay. That's now the United States leverages this corporatism through licensure. Whether you're a medical professional, we saw what happened when people were dissenting, legit MDs, great geniuses like Ioannidis, who is a brilliant freaking epidemiologist, statistician, one of my heroes, threatened with his job. We had medical doctors that were threatened that their medical license were taken away. Bullshit. This is how the state manipulates the market and free speech. Well, in China, they've tailored the corporatism in a different way because they don't have a Bill of Rights that supposedly guarantees freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, all that kind of stuff. The way they do it in China is they have these vast number of, they're called SOEs, state-owned enterprises, Okay. That's like energy, telecom, manufacturing. We have them as well, GAOs. But these are often given like special treatment. They get special access to credit, subsidies, things like that. That, hey, I'm a small business. Where's my subsidy? Where's my tax credit? Right. And then they're supposed to, the private company is supposed to compete with these other guys that have this massive advantage of not being harassed, basically. Okay. So I want you to think about the World Economic Forum and this great reset, the great reset bullshit. It's the great threat, dude. Okay. It's a threat, right? Because it's again, it's PR and marketing. It's wrapping a turd in wrapping paper, dude. It's not what you don't want to open this shit. Okay. Bijlani says it's, oh, the real big biryani. Hey, what's up? You got banned because you were speaking against the scamdemic. I get it, dude. I get it, man. Anyway, who is the World Economic Forum? I've got a blog on there where I talk about them. I talk about some connections that they may or may not have that should probably be investigated. But you know, this great reset that they pushed really was introduced by the WEF, the World Economic Forum, in response to this COVID-19 bullshit, right? Which there are significant amount of scientists that support the idea this isn't a conspiracy theory. These are people smarter than you and I in the business saying, dude, I mean, we know that gain of function was done. We know that. What is gain of function? That's, again, another fucking euphemism. George Carlin would be having a fit right now. It's gain of function is a euphemism for weaponizing, for bio warfare, by chemical warfare. Okay, viral bio warfare. Okay, that's what was happening in the Wuhan lab when it got leaked. Maybe it was an accident, or maybe they did it intentionally, and then it's a PR thing like the rest of this gain of function, public-private cooperation, cover up by just stupid language, and you're so dumb you just buy it. Maybe not you, but 99%. I saw through it. Day one, I was screaming into an abyss. Everybody with their dumb mask. By the way, dude, I fly a lot. I still see people wearing masks. I'm judging you. You're idiots. Dude, if you're wearing a mask at this point, first of all, you don't know that masks don't do anything. The virus gets through it. It's not good enough. And second of all, it's a 99.9% survival rate, dude. You're like, you don't have a grasp on reality. You're a moron. Anyway, all of this stuff that seems to be some sort of biowarfare attack coming out of China. Hate to fucking say, but it's stop mamby-pambying around. It's what it looks like, dude. And then the rest of the world, due to people like the WEF, you understand, they've been training people. Elon Musk is one of them. Now, he actually seems to be revolting and going against, but they gave money. They give money to people, and they sponsor scholarships to train them and inculcate them in the propaganda that they're pushing. Again, so let me just read this article because I think I did a pretty good job putting this together. So this global response lockdowns due to this biowarfare leak, if it's a leak, basically was used to infringe on individual rights worldwide with these lockdowns and controlling business in the West and in the United States, mostly through licensure laws. Okay. Now, with this great reset, the World Economic Forum, they really could be seen when you look at this from corporatism, from fascism, from state capitalism, what China does, okay, where you work and you don't have rights and people commit suicide because they're making iPhones and stuff. You understand? The Great Reset, they've put out these initiatives. One is the CEI. Do you know what the CEI is? The CEI, it's the Circular Economy Initiative. They say it's for, everything needs to be recycled and we're doing sustainability. This is how they're going to gain control of the resources, you dummies. They gain control of the resources. They're corrupt. Governments pollute more than any. China is the world's biggest polluter, the state. The United States is one of the greatest polluters, and yet they're charged with telling us what to. They're idiots. They tell you that we've got all these IRS agents. They can't account for the billions lost at the Pentagon. I mean, like trillions. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous what you put up with. You encourage what you tolerate, people. You get the government you deserve. This is really, you may have a hard time with the founders or whatever, because some of the shit they did was stupid based in their time. And I agree, like slavery, obviously bad. And I get all that, okay? But they had the freaking cojones to say enough. Enough. No more. So this CEI initiative, the ESG framework, which is it's environmental social governance framework. This is the propaganda to promote the ideals of corporatism. Google it. ESG, Environmental Social Governance, World Economic Forum. Look up Circular Economy Initiative. They cover it with all the language, but they're going to control all the resources. Okay? Then they're going to start a carbon tax. You're going to be taxed just for living. This is nonsense. Are frogs or ants, do they tax each other? Like, I mean, it's ridiculous. And then the last one, which has really been the lightning rod, but you got to look at the other two, the CEI and the ESG, but the DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, diversity, equity, and inclusion initiative by the WEF. It's a drive that, dude, that DEI money is why Budweiser lost $9 billion with a B, 1,000 million times 9, dude, insane amount of money in a month pushing this transgender shit. I have no problem with trans people. Dude, I have them in my family. I have friends. But stop pushing it. We're not going to judge. We're over that. You don't have to get all wackadoo. Okay? They lost nine, and then Target, ironically, is like, hold my beer, Budweiser. They lost $9 billion in like a week or like 3 days. And what they've been pushing is something that, okay, both Budweiser and Target supported this WEF DEI initiative. Okay. Both lost $9 billion. Obviously, Target lost it like in a week. It took a month for Bud. Okay. But this is the blowback. Nobody's buying it. This is where people are saying no. At least people are voting with their dollars. Okay. But the reason why the blowback on Target was way bigger than the blowback on Bud. Bud was trying to push this idea of, I mean, I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, body dysmorphia is a problem. Okay. But like, are we now normalizing some of these things? Like, I get it. I'm not saying people don't have issues and that we shouldn't be compassionate, but are we normalizing this bullshit? Because young kids are mutilating themselves. Like, I mean, I hear of people I know where this is a problem. This is not like me being a wackadoo neckbeard in my parents' basement. Like, I'm like, this is legit, dude. Okay. Like, I'm a 50-year-old father of 3. Like, I hear these from other parents. Okay. But the problem with Target was this pushing of this tolerance potentially of some of the products, of this idea that, again, these euphemisms that they use, this is where you got to be cautious and critical. They are now calling pedophilia minor attracted person, MAPS. Instead of calling them pedophiles, they're MAPS. And that's what they were trying to, a lot of the criticism blowback was these were in the kids section and pushing some stuff that was sexualizing at an age that's just so inappropriate. These are not reproductive age people. Like, what are you thinking? Like, these are pubescent. Okay. That's why they lost $9 billion. So it's not a conservative liberal issue, guys. This is that you're buying into these dumb language traps. You guys got to go watch some George Carlin. Get smart about this. Okay. So this DEI is truly wreaking havoc on reproductive identities, wreaking havoc on established cultural identities. Like, this is a problem. Okay. And they're using markets against markets. They're using free speech against free speech. That's how they want to get rid of it. You understand? You know that, like, I did a whole show that the biggest risk Americans face is the medical industry, and that the pharmaceutical industry is responsible for 75% of the ads that you see. They pay for 75% of ads. That is insane. You don't think that that is propaganda? They're using it. And then all these drugs they're selling, I watched my last podcast, have violent side effects, but they are not blaming what's actually causing the violence, and that's these drugs that have the known side effects of violence. They're blaming the implements used, like guns. Well, these people are using fucking pressure cookers, man. Remember the Boston guys? They're driving cars into people. This is nonsensical. People have lost their minds because they aren't able to think critically about language. This is the things that I'm not a Noam Chomsky fan. I think he's economically an idiot, but linguistically he's smart. And that old documentary he put out called Manufacturing Consent is everybody should watch, and then stop listening to Chomsky after that because he's an idiot otherwise. But he did, broken clock is still right twice a day. He did a great job on that documentary. Anyway, the World Economic Forum and its initiatives primarily represent the interests of the large corporations, not even the 1%. The 1% of 1%. I told you, small business is 99.9%, at least in the United States. But the World Economic Forum represents the interests of these large corporatism, central banks. That's corporatist money. A central bank is the merger of the government into business. This is why guys like Ron Paul and stuff were like, end the Fed. Okay? Does this make sense? The way you were treated in lockdown is what they want for you, not for them. Do you remember all the parties? Remember all the politicians? They were having parties without masks, and then some of the help us take pictures leaking that out. You got to wake up here, man. Yeah, you're falling for the wrong enemies because you're listening to their bullshit. The problem with fascism, or we could call it state capitalism, or we could call it corporatism. This shit is... They just rebrand it. You know what they're calling communism? They're calling it stakeholder capitalism. How sketchy is that? It's like the exact opposite of what it actually is. So it's nonsense. But all of this goes back. We were talking about laissez-faire, and the French term means let us be. They were responding to the state capitalism, the fascism, the corporatism of their day in the 1700s. It was called, Google this, mercantilism. Mercantilism is an economic system in which the state intervenes in the economy to promote exports and protect domestic industries from foreign competition. Again, meddling by the state amongst consensual people trying to figure out the best, most efficient economic deal because they know better. Okay. And they're idiots. They're not even business people. Okay. Mercantilism now, which was proto-fascism, proto-state capitalism, was the dominant economic system in Europe between the 16th and the 18th centuries. Okay. It was for a short time replaced by this laissez-faire capitalism in the 19th century, which is what led to the boom, the technological boom that we all are still benefiting from today. Until the American Civil War and the World Wars, 1 and 2, and the continual wars of the 19th and 20th century, forced out laissez-faire and replaced it again with this state capitalism, this fascism. There's a great book called America's Emerging Fascist Economy by Charlotte Dwight. She's dead, an economist from the 1970s. It's hard to find a copy of this book. I have it. It's an old book. It's great. America's Emerging Fascist Economy. She was nailing this shit back in the 70s. Charlotte Dwight, an economist. Now, I wrote this article, and we just had Memorial Day, and thank you for your service to everybody who served. Smedley Butler. Anybody know who that is? Raise your hand. Throw me a number one in the chat if you ever heard of Smedley Butler. He's got the nerdiest name ever. You guys know who I'm talking about? Smedley Butler. You got to look this dude up. Fascinating guy. Okay. Smedley Butler was a 2-time Medal of Honor recipient, a Marine. Okay. 1898 to 1931. So we all, even today, are like, oh, dude, Marines are the toughest of the toughest, right? Of like general military that aren't like necessarily special ops. Imagine how tough they were in 1898, 1931, when you had to shit outside in an outhouse still. Okay. This is a 2-time Medal of Honor recipient. Huge, massive critic, dissenter of American imperialism, because he saw it firsthand what was going on. And he was also pivotal. Did you know this? In 1933, there was a coup, a fascist coup in the United States, and Smedley Butler helped squash that coup. Crazy shit. You got to look this guy up. Okay. This is the guy, the kind of guy on Memorial Day that I want remembered, right? And he has this fantastic quote that every single person listening on this show right now should spread this to every person they know. Smedley, Smedley, and then Butler, like, you know, like bow tie and white gloves. Smedley Butler, 2-time Medal of Honor, put down a coup for the, you know, almost, you know, stopped a fascist coup in the United States between the world wars. This is the quote. There are only 2 things we as Americans should fight for. There are only 2 things we should fight for. One is the defense of our homes, and the other is the Bill of Rights. Notice he didn't say the Constitution, he said the Bill of Rights. I agree with him. The Bill of Rights. You know, a lot of people have a problem with the Constitution. There are problems with the Constitution. Let's be real. You guys that all wear the Constitution, all that, you don't even understand it. You probably don't know any of the major cases, don't know the legitimate criticisms. I'm just being real. You're just wearing slogans and you're an American, not drinking Bud anymore. But the fact is it's a flawed document. And what was introduced to mitigate the flaws and free the people truly was the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights is important. The Bill of Rights is worth fighting over, and I'll fight, and you should fight for it too. And that is what I like to think on Memorial Day. If anybody's ever died, that they would die for something that I too would die for, and that's the Bill of Rights. Because that document, within that document, is within the Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments to the Constitution, amendments, right? Changes, is everything we need. If we actually started enforcing it, we could end this. This is that separation of church and state that could be happening with corporatism. We could separate corporations and the state. This is a problem. This went back. You know that the entire American Revolution was a response, was sparked because of corporatism. The British East India Company. The British East India Company. What do you think the Boston Tea Party was about? What? Taxation without representation is kind of, if you're smart enough to remember anything from elementary school when they actually taught stuff that mattered. But why? What is it? They just tell you that and you regurgitate and you forget about it and it doesn't have any meaning. Here's the freaking meaning. Okay. American tea companies were trying to sell tea here to other Americans, but they had to pay a tax when the tea, the shit inside the leaves, which came from India and tasted different and good, the spices, they had to pay a tax. But while they had to pay, companies like the British East India Company, they were kissing ass. They were corporatism with the King of England, and they didn't have to pay a tax. So they had an unfair advantage, and that pissed them off. So they said, hey, British East India Company, let's dress like Native Americans and dump all your shit in the harbor. And F you. That is what started it. Corporatism has always been the enemy of true Americans. And by Americans, I mean blacks, whites, trans, whoever. but people who truly believe in individualism. That is a word. Have you noticed? This whole show has been about how words are manipulated, how fascism, state capitalism, corporatism have now been called public-private partnerships. Like, what bullshit is that, right? These euphemisms, how weaponization, biowarfare is called gain of function. You don't even know these things by you, and you're not upset. And you should be. You should be freaking disgusted with what you've allowed because you've clouded your mind with freaking shitty food and scrolling on freaking Tinder like an idiot. You're going to lose everything for future generations because you're a fat moron. I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking to anybody specific, but there's a lot of them out there. They're still wearing masks and they wore masks. And I'm sorry if that was you. Don't get fooled again, like the old Who song, man. What do you think these people are talking about? We won't get fooled again, right? You know that? Anyway, sorry, I got fired up. I'm just sick of this world economic manipulation through propaganda, language, and that. And I really hope to recruit you in this refusal to go along with more bullshit. I really hope so. All right, comments. We got Emperor Charlemagne out on YouTube. Corporatism is a system we currently live under. Yes, that's what I've been saying at the moment as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, dude. You should read my article, dude. 100%. Leftists call it crony capitalism, blame the capitalists, but really it's corporatism. Yeah, it's all. The point I'm trying to make with this show is that language is manipulated to manipulate people. It's all the same shit. It's been mercantilism, fascism, Nazism. Nazis had cahoots with the state and the corporations. Go watch Schindler's List, man. Get your head out. All right? So, all right, guys. Sorry to blow up. I do try to keep it light. Today was not one of those days. All right. I do have a meeting in exactly 8 minutes. You guys have any questions, comments? You want to call me an idiot? I don't care. It's fine. Vent. It's cool. I said my piece. I'm going to give it to you guys now. Emperor Charlemagne says, I lost my job standing up to my employer and union during the COVID era. I'm unvaccinated, didn't do the mask. BS. Love these talks of yours, by the way. Dude, you know who I actually feel? I'm like you, dude. I did not, nobody, and I speak freely. I'm not mean about it. Like, or I try not to be. I give up pretty impassioned, but I try to be considerate. You know what I mean? But like, I mean, maybe I'm not. I'm calling people idiots. Let's be real. But it's just because my patience is gone. I've really tried, but it's just so overwhelming. The only thing I can do is push back, with emotion. There's rationality underneath it, but I feel like I'm screaming into an abyss. Yeah, it's a problem, dude. It's a big, big problem. And again, I don't think people are aware of the mechanisms by which they're manipulated. And the people I feel bad for are the people that actually trusted the establishment, mainstream media, government, and took these experimental things that turned you into a genetically, you realize if you took the vax, you are actually a genetically modified organism. Like, you're the shit I avoid in the grocery store. Not just foods. Now I avoid you guys. You're dangerous. And people are dying. There was an insurance company that said something like 600 million people die. Like, these are the business statistics, dude. 40% increase in prime mortality. That's 18 to 60 years old by these insurance companies. A 40% increase in the first year. We've only just begun to see the fallout, man. This is some craziness, and I do link it all back. I do think, like, God bless him, Alex Jones. He's crazy. But I do think that doesn't mean he's wrong about everything. I think that with regards to all of the, like, trying to depopulate and stuff, in the framework of like trying to get children to not reproduce, by swapping genders and chopping their genitalia, by reducing the testosterone rate, which we're in the middle of a massive epidemic of no testosterone, of increasing divorce and lack of kids and all this, pushing all that. Dude, we're on the verge of population collapse. People don't want to hear it. Elon Musk knows this. This is the one thing that I will say. I don't know if he's a wolf in sheep's clothing, but he does speak the truth sometimes. And that's like anybody. I don't agree with any one person 100% on anything. Just like nobody here is going to agree with me on 100%. But there are a lot of things that do resonate with me that he does say. So, but then he goes and hires the new CEO for Twitter is a WEF alum. And she's all about all this bullshit. So, dude, it's a wild time to be alive. It's a wild time to be alive. But stick with Smedley Butler's admonition that you should fight. He says fight. This is a Marine. He means like go kill, like fight to protect your homes and protect the Bill of Rights, because that's what protects you. And that means all you guys that are police officers too. We rely on you guys. You should be with us. And I know there's command and control you guys got to deal with, but you always got to remember, you're the one that has to bear the brunt of this bullshit edicts that they push down. You know, Emperor Charlemagne on YouTube says, right, you were an insurance guy. You know the numbers better than anyone on this stuff. I'm 100% with you on all this. Well, I appreciate that. I mean, I just think we're seeing the same thing. It's like, I see a moose. You're like, oh yeah, I see that moose. Like it's there. It's not, you know what I mean? All right, guys. I do have to jump on this meeting. I appreciate you as ever. Hit me up. Check out my new book. It is nothing to do with this. My next book does, though. I just can't help myself. But the next book is actually talking about, and I've talked about this on the show, about how bioethics, I think, is the future of the American ideal of protecting individuals. Right? What are the tenets of bioethics? What is better known as principalism? The principles that were derived out of the Nuremberg trials at the end of World War II when the Nazis were hung for medical experiments on people. See how this is relevant? First, do no harm, the Hippocratic Oath, non-malfeasance, informed consent. Do that. We would have a separation of business and state, no more taxation because tax is not consensual. Informed consent, beneficence. So not just do no harm, like Google, don't be evil. No, you can't just not be evil. You actually got to do good. Beneficence and justice. It needs to be evenly applied. Not economic justice. Don't get that twisted. Judicial justice. The poor people and the rich people. No more O.J. Simpson gets off with murder because he's got wealthy attorneys. No more Emmett Till is killed and the lady gets free because he was poor black. Equal. That's my next book. But this book is called Sportify. And it's basically, I've been studying this idea of gamification, not only as a wrestling coach and a business coach, but as a guy in software as well. That gamification is a cool thing, but it has its limits. And most of its limits is about motivating people. Dangling badges and giving black belts and all that bullshit only goes so far. How do you solve, that's called extrinsic motivation. How do you solve the problem of intrinsic motivation? Well, you can't do that with gamification, but you can if you extend gamification into what I call sportifying or sportification. And that's what the entire book is about, is how do you actually engage people, use ideas from sports to engage people in their jobs. And engage even your clients in what they're doing to help them. Just like sports helps people, makes you healthy, fosters community, all that kind of stuff. Sportify. You can go get that. That's on Amazon, Kindle, hard copy, all that kind of stuff. I'm super excited. Go check that out. Please support it. And if you know any small business owners, and again, I'll do up to 500 employees, but really my niche is 10 to 50 employees. I'm here to help as well. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. And hopefully I'll be back sooner than I know it's been a week. I apologize, but I'll be back